Welcome to the online eSchool Plus TAC training. TAC stands for Teacher Access Center. So we're going to do a series of video tutorials for those of you who may not have had a chance to sit down, do a face-to-face in your school, but this is kind of a virtual way for you can get an overview of the system and it allows you to see this and work through it at your own time and at your own pace. So what we're looking at right here is the Teacher Access Center. Now we're going to be using a training account, and so you will need to get the quick guide that we have available, and there is a 3.1 manual that is available that your building support person can help you download and print out. And they're both in PDF format, but they will explain how to actually log on to TAC. There is a special website that you'll need, a link that you'll need to set as a bookmark on your computer, and they'll help you with the login. But this also in the tutorial it will go through the login process for you. So we're going to go ahead and start as if you've already logged in. I also like to just say that we need to understand that eSchool Plus is a complete system. So what we're looking at today is the Teacher Access Center. So it's just a small portion of the eSchool Plus environment. And so eSchool Plus is different things for different people. So if you're a principal, eSchool Plus is one thing. If you're a counselor, it's going to be another thing because the access is different. So what we're talking about with teachers is strictly the Teacher Access Center. I will make references to HAC or the Home Access Center, and this is the online portal that the parents will see. It's very similar to Edline. It's actually it's very simplified. It's way more simple than what we had in, excuse me, in Edline. So the parents will actually see information, and I will show you what happens when how to send information out so that the parents can view it through the gradebook. Now, in this initial recording, we're going to do the basic introduction. And we're basically going to be walking across the menu items here that are at the very top right here. And we're going to go through some the basic setups and some things some features that are in the program. And then in the next video, we'll look at the actual classroom and the rosters, and we'll have separate videos, one for attendance, one for the grade book, and some other classroom management features, as well as the intervention portion, which deals with discipline. So in this video is just going to be an introduction. So looking at the hack homepage, or the TAC homepage rather, you notice that there is the home button, and this is what we're seeing from the home section. You're seeing the My Classes area, and in this My Classes area, you're going to see all of your classes for the entire year. So secondary teachers, you will see your first and second semester classes. However, you don't have to see them if you don't want to. There's a view pull down here that you can change the view, and considering if you just want to see the classes that you're using for the first semester, then you can switch to what's called the current RC run. RC stands for report card, and so you can just view it from that standpoint if you like. You're going to see this particular symbol a lot in the program, which is the settings button, and usually it allows you to save current settings or restore the default settings back to when you just open the program. If you notice that there are a set of icons here under the attendance column, right now this is set up for secondary school, but elementary schools, you will only see these two icons next to primary homeroom. So that will be the area where you will take attendance when we get to the attendance module. It's very similar to the attendance grade book that we had in Grade Quick, but it separates the attendance portion from the rest of the classes. We will look at the other icons and things later as we get farther into the program, but this is the My Classes section. Below that, you have the news section, and this is going to be news that will be pushed out from those who administer the eSchool Plus system. That can be those permissions can be assigned to specific people in the building, but this is where that news information will be stored. Now, the news information is going to be different from the notifications, which we'll talk about in a little later, but nevertheless, they are here, and they will be available as news is published on the system. Below this is the section that has to do with reports. And we'll talk about this a little later as well. But when you generate a report, it keeps a running tab of those reports in this section here that you can always pull up and print later as needed. So we're going to go ahead and get started across the menu items here across the very top. And the first one we want to look at is if you hold your cursor over the username, you're going to see three menu items. And one is change password, one is settings, and the other one is notification subscription. So we're going to go ahead and look at change password first. I'm going to right click and tell it to open in a new tab so that it doesn't take me away from my training page. But one of the things, the advantages that you will have in the system is that you'll be able to change your own password. So if you forget your password or in the system, it will be requiring that you change your password every 90 days. You will still have the ability to change and recover your password yourselves. And this change password links takes you over to Arkansas single sign-on page. And this is provided by the state. And the state is creating all of your accounts, and so once your accounts are built, they will email that information to you. But let's say you forget your pass name, excuse me, password, you will simply click the password link here, and it will take you through several steps where you'll put in your district email, and then it will mail you. Um, you're allowed to change your password. Now, this password must be 10 characters long. I don't think you can use any special symbols like dollar signs or that sort of thing, but it has to be letters, numbers, capital letters, and it must be at least 10 characters long. As far as the username goes, the username is going to be pretty much set to this, that the school district's number for Little Rock School District is 6001. So everybody's username will start with 6001, then it will be your first initial of your first name, and then your complete last name. So for instance, for Mary Jones, it would be 6001 M. Jones. In the event that we have employees who have the same name, because we probably have several Mary Joneses in the district or so forth, then the naming convention will consist of this manner. One person will get M. Jones, then the next person who is Mary Jones will get a M.A. Jones, and the next person below will get a M.A.R. Jones, and so forth. It will keep going, adding a letter to the first name to differentiate it from the other individuals who have the same name. So this is the single sign-on, and this is how you can recover your password, and it will take you to this link from TAC if you choose or need to change your password. Looking at the next menu item under settings. Now, Grade Quick allowed most of the teachers to have a lot of flexibility in some of the settings in the program, but eSchool is not going to be that liberal in giving you a lot of control or flexibility in customizing the program. So most of your customization is going to come right here, and we're going to go through those right now. The first one is open student drawer on search. When one of the nice advantages of this program is that you have the ability to look up your students' demographic and academic information from within the program. When it opens in what's called a student drawer. So we will look at the student drawer in a minute once we finish the modules here. But when you do a search over here, a single student search, and we can't do it now because we have this menu item open. So just know whenever you have a menu item open, whether it's one of these tabs or another menu item, the student search is not available. You have to go back to the home screen where we saw the class list to do the student search. Okay, so, but when you do a student search and it brings back one result or just a single student, do you want it to automatically open the student drawer, or do you want to be able to just click on the student's name and then open the student drawer? So that is what this setting is asking here. The next setting below that is the multiple classes in a period. Now, multiple classes in a period, for those teachers who teach related arts or you have ESL students, then you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You often have multiple grade books for students who are physically in the same class. So what this multiple classes in the period feature does is if you select the M, it will allow you to see all of your students in one setting when you do attendance and when you do grades. That way you're not having to move in between grade books to do attendance or grades for those students who are all split up in separate grade books. It will combine them into one single look. Or you can just leave it at the single status where you will have to switch between grade books to view that information. The next feature in the settings is Cache My Class List. Caching is it's just a feature that allows the computer to save a portion of the web information on the computer so it doesn't have to go out and get all that information, and it's supposed to make the performance faster, make the pages load faster. And this is just a setting, it's up to you. Some people have said that it doesn't make a difference when they select this setting or not, so it's strictly up to you if you want to check this box or not. When it comes down to appearance, you get a choice of either a solid background or a background wallpaper. And basically, you simply just hover your cursor over the different squares to see the color that you want or to look at the background that you want, and simply just select the square, and it will save that change automatically. And now your background level is set. I'm going to turn it back to white. Attendance. Under the attendance view type, you will keep this as list view. We will not be using photos in TAC, so you will not uh, really to be able to, you can still do attendance with the photo in the photo section, but you won't actually see the student's picture. Next is gradebook assignment sort. Now, everyone in GradeQuick should be familiar with this, and this allows you to basically see your assignments by ascending due date or descending due date, however, whatever your preference is in your gradebook. The next feature is the auto saving feature. Now, we have the ability to manually save or to auto save. And now in GradeQuick, we didn't have the option. Everything was auto save. So you had to, so as you entered information, the program would keep it and record it automatically for you. This program will do the same thing in autosave, except you will still have to manually select the save button when you are doing attendance and when you are submitting your grades. Not when you're necessarily putting grades in the grade book, but when you are submitting those grades at the end of the quarter, you will get this symbol up in the right hand corner to save, and that also sends that information. So the auto saving just doesn't work on those two features of the attendance and the grade sending, but it'll auto save everything else in the program. The next is grade reporting view. We're going to keep this as report card. So this is how we want the output to look, as if it's based upon the report card view or the report card run that we'll be using for the quarter. And finally, there is the email uh, preference setting. And what this says is that there is an email function within TAC for you to email the students and to email certain guardians. And this question here just wants to know, do you want to receive a copy of those emails in your district LRSD mail if you use that feature? So you will simply pick one of these. You can either choose to do it or not do it. It's simply up to you. And these are your general settings features. The next section under this tab is the notification subscriptions. Now, if you have a mobile phone, you are very aware of notifications that pop up and alert you when things come through the system. Well, right here under notifications is where these information will appear. But in this setting, under notification subscriptions, you get to choose which notifications you receive from the system that are sent out from the office. Now, some of the notifications will come manually where they will send stuff out to the teachers through the system, and some notifications will be automatic. So as they enter information or they change student information, the system will automatically notify the teachers by sending out a notification that something has changed in the system. Now, you have the ability to see medical notifications, discipline notifications, and mark reporting notifications. Now, again, be aware that this is a training site, and a lot of the things that you see here may not be available to the teachers. And that all depends on what the nurses and the counselors and things and those people have deemed that that the teachers can see, because there's some items and notifications that you may not be able to see. And so again, your choice, you will see a screen like this, but you may not have all of these choices. When you choose to subscribe, you can subscribe so that the notifications come here under the notification section, or that the notifications can come to your LRSD email account. If you have the emails coming to your district account, then you may want to check the daily digest option, which will compile all of the notifications in one single email so that you don't get all these emails coming through your account at different times. So these are the notifications. You can choose them. You can choose to activate them or not activate them. It's strictly up to you. And you get to choose where you want the notifications to appear. Moving on, this is the notification section. So when you see a notifications, you would click and then all the notifications would be listed here. So since this is a training account, there's nothing really out here. There's nothing I can really show you as far as notifications go and how they would look. Under tools, tools are specifically links that are basically in the system. Now, the set environment feature may not be available to teachers. The set environment, basically, one of the things that it allows a user to do, it allows you to impersonate another user. So this is a feature that may just be held for administrators of the system because there's not a read-only function in TAC like we had in GradeQuick. So I can't go in and look at your grade book apart from you and do things and make changes that do not affect your grade book. You have to impersonate a person to go into the grade book. And if the person is impersonating, then they are in live as an individual. So this is a feature that will probably not be available to teachers, but to administrators of the system. The e-learning center and district links are just external links that we can point the program to for in the case of e-learning system, like I'm doing a video here. So this may be sent to a particular section that holds the videos or other information for training on the TAC system. And these are all external websites such as AppScan and the ADE website. You have your standard help menu here. And your help menu is pretty much laid out a lot like the TAC manual that you have. So if you don't have your TAC manual, you can always go to your standard help menu that's in every software program that's listed here. The log out button, you have to remember about that log out button is that if you are going to leave this program, closing out by clicking the X will not do it. Just simply closing does not close out the program. You will have to log out if you want to close out of TAC because there is the possibility that once you close the browser, you can also reopen it and go back and you can back up a couple of steps and get right back in the gradebook. So make sure that when you're not using the program that you're going to be away from your desk or you're trying to close out, that you always log out and not just hit the X. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the home menu because I want to show you the student search function. And that way you can see that for yourself and what it and one of the student drawers. Now there are two student drawers in this program. One is through the student search, which is a single student search. And the other one is a student drawer that exists in the rosters. So I'm going to show you the first student search now, and I mean the first student drawer now, and then we'll look at another one in the next video in the roster section. So I'm going to do a search for one of the demo students that we have in the program. The last name is Bradley. Now about this student search is it has to be exact. So you must, in a sense, really know the student that you're searching for to do a search on a student. You can't really do like a wildcard search. So I can't say Brad and do a search because unless there's a student in here that's named Brad, either first or last name, you notice I do not get any results. So if I'm looking for one of the Bradley kids, I must specifically spell out Bradley. Now, when I ask for Bradley, I get two. There's an Andrew and there's an Ashley. And if you notice, it came back with two student names. If it had come back with one student, just Andrew, then that's where that setting feature that we looked at first is saying if it comes back with one student, go ahead and automatically open the student drawer instead of having the teacher to click on it. So we're going to click on Andrew's name and look at his student drawer. And one thing you notice about the student drawer is that it operates, it's in the center of the page and it does not get any bigger. There is not a enlarge feature on this. So if you notice, if I put my cursor here, there's no arrows, so I can't grow this box. This is the size it's going to be in the system. The other um, the other student drawer box is in a different place, but it's the same way. You won't be able to resize the box. The first thing that comes up is a personal alert that was put in the system for Andrew that he is not to be released to his father. So when you have alerts of that type on a student, every time you open the student drawer, that alert will be there because it's very significant and they want the teacher to know that you are not to release this child or whatever specific information. They want it prominent that you see it every time it opens up for that type of alert. Looking at the student drawer, you'll see that you have the demographic information here and you have academic information here. So if I want to see Andrew's full schedule, then you'll be able to look up a child's full schedule in the system. If I wanted to print this, I could click on the print icon. It would send this report down to the report menu so I could always pull up the schedule again whenever I need to. So we're going to go down the side here to look at the different parts of the student drawer. Now, if you notice, it has the student's name and address and all this information and age and so forth here. And so the quick view shows you pretty much everything between demographic and academic. So when I start going down to contact, it starts breaking this information out. Now I see pretty much just the contact information for the student. You're going to see multiple guardians a lot of times in the student drawer. The system has the ability to record multiple guardians for the student, but the guardian that the parents will mostly contact will be the live with guardian. So when you see the email function, and we'll talk about this a little later, when you're emailing guardians under the system, in the email system, it is emailing the live with guardian and not just any guardian that's on the demographics page. Moving on to registration, we have, you see that where the student is enrolled, the teacher, if it's an elementary student, you see the homeroom teacher and so forth, and the basic demographic information. If you notice, those alerts are still here. As we go through the drawer, those alerts remain here, and I can click them or just hover over them to see what the alerts are. The next section is RC, IPR, TRN. That stands for RC is a report card, IPR is interim, and TRN is transcript. So these three items will be available in a student drawer. So after the first quarter, once the report cards have come out, you can go in the student's drawer and go back and look at the student's report card to see the information that was recorded there. At interim time, the same thing. Once we run interims reports, you'll be able to go back and look at the interim report that was generated for the student. And there's also transcript information available to look at the student's transcript. The test button along the side is not being used by any school district right now in the state of Arkansas. There's nothing going to be in there if you click on that icon. And finally, classwork will show you a summary of all the classwork that has been generated for the student when the teacher puts this in their gradebook. So when a teacher makes an assignment, puts in a category an assignment, then you will be able to see that information here in the student drawer. So this is a student drawer. I'm going to go ahead and close it, and it takes us back to the home button. So what we've gone through now is just the introductory part here of TAC. Thank you.